like today? What do you just like up there at the zoo for all the animals? What's going on?
I think most of them are off their, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in their current habitat. Exhibit? Off exhibit.
Yeah, they're in whatever, but it's really cold. It's not like normal cold. So like, do you think...
I'm sure they're taking precautions. Yeah.
Do you think that if we lost a bird, or if we lost one of our zoo, like...
I think they're keeping that under wraps. And
they would keep it
getting a replacement without telling anybody.
This is what I'm trying to get
Yeah,
at.
they didn't want to tell anybody they screwed up.
Per year, the Sedgwick County Zoo, how many, cover-ups for animal deaths do you think there are?
Well, I don't want to say Sedgwick County Zoo specific because that's a little too close to home. But yeah, there's at least 17% of the pet population that is replaced without us knowing it, the general public.
Yeah. Like, it makes sense. Like, what are you going to make a big hubbub about that?
What was that word?
Hubbub. Like, you're over at the zoo.
Is that a real word?
Caretakers, you go out, you see one of the giraffes is dead. Well, if one of the giraffes, everyone's going to notice that.
Or will they?
When you get what you want.
The Unjustified podcast is sponsored by Russ Herman State Farm. DL, you're a customer at Russ Herman State Farm. Tell our listeners what level of service they can find working with this fine company.
10 out of 10, old Rusty. 10 out of 10. We're on the east side of town, right across from Bradley Fair. And over here, we do a couple things, but the main one is we have fun.
There we go. I like it. Email us your questions or comments, or better yet, your advice on any topic we've discussed or should discuss. We're happy to share that on our next episode. Send that email to unjustified@myagentrust.com. Main topic today, I need some help on this one because I can't shoot from where I'm at.
Producer Bree?
Producer Bree, take a shot at that. We're going to figure out what we're talking about today on the old podcast.
Shoot the ball there. Do a little backboard.
Backboard. I think that's got to count because that was in, and they're lightweight. It's not in the budget yet for
soon to be.
Some heavier buckets.
Soon to be tax time's coming around.
I don't know if you know Bozo. Grew up watching Bozo, and this reminds me of Bozo. Bozo the Clown on WGN.
Sounds like a bad
as a young guy. So did you see what this was? What this cup was? The bucket?
It's
career. So that's a fun topic. So randomly drilling out of here. Definition of a career. How do you define what is a career? What's a career?
Oh wow, definition of career.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me answer a question with a question.
Absolutely.
Okay, if a guy like that Free Solo, okay, remember that movie Free Solo?
Give me
the guy climbing,
yes. Sorry.
Right? So if a guy spends his whole life climbing things, and that's his favorite, and he spent more percentage time climbing things than he's done anything else in his life. He's a dad, but he still spent more time climbing than he's parented. He spent more time climbing than he's worked for money in his life. He climbs.
Okay.
Right? At the end of his life, it wasn't what he did for money, right? It's just what he did most of the time. I'm not even going to pose to you that it was his favorite thing in his life, because being a parent was probably his favorite thing, right? Is that his career? No, right? Because I think while we want to call all of that career is connected with making a living, right? So career would have to be connected with how you make a living. So it can't be hobby. It can't be.
So that would be his.
It can't be.
That would be his passion,
but
not his career. So your career.
Let's say the movie made money.
Yeah.
And he makes a movie about his life. Now, did that just convert to his career because he converted what he did in his life into income that beat the lifetime income from him working at an insurance office for 15 years while he climbed a lot? Yeah, like what is a career?
So the first defining characteristic of a career is that you must be paid to do it.
Must be.
Must. And
What
in
is
this day and age,
defined payment?
well, in this day and age, it could be different things monetarily. In this day and age, it could be different things that are paying you. For instance, if you've got enough YouTube followers, hint, hint, then you get paid to do whatever you're doing, like a podcast, for instance. Right? So that's the first defining characteristic: is you must be monetarily compensated to do such thing. Go ahead.
Quick. All right. So if you are a stay-at-home mom, okay, and you never had a tax return in income, did you ever have a career? Did you get paid to do what you do? What is payment, right? Like what are we saying? Because what I'm asking is, do a different definition of the word. Could anyone live their whole life without a career? Or do you have to look at anyone's life, no matter how bad or sad or good or awesome, and look at it and go, well, this is what their career would have been if I put it in con. Everyone has a career, or does not everyone have a career? Because, for example, if not even a stay-at-home mom, if you live your whole life just getting from other people, you know what I mean, and just living your life, and then whatever it is, and you never make income yourself, but you live your life in relationships, in social ways, and you do things, and all those things equate to people being there in your life and doing for you and taking care of you, because you go about your life being social and near the people, and you're taking care, but you never have income financially. Did you have a career?
So my first response would be,
No.
The second person you're talking about is providing other people careers because they don't need one, because they're evidently independently wealthy. So they don't need a career, but they're providing careers for others, which is obviously a benefit to society. So that's a good thing, but I wouldn't say it's a career.
Okay.
The first example you gave, though, very, very good example of a stay-at-home mom. So maybe we could redefine that first idea as it either needs to be providing you a monetary compensation or saving you money.
Cost.
Yes.
Career saves you cost.
Saving you money because otherwise you're having to pay somebody else to do the same thing that you're doing instead.
Yeah.
So I think they've done some valuations on this, and it changes every year, but a stay-at-home mother,
You know what it is?
her income should be like, I want to say it's like $77,000 a year in the Midwest, at least for a stay-at-home mother, what their value is from all the different savings that they bring to the table, not just obviously taking care of kids, but taking care of the home itself, cooking, cleaning, all those types of things as well, transportation, organization. Think how much organization that a stay-at-home mom brings to the table, where they're the CEO of that household, right? And so that's a big deal. I'm not trying to underscore that.
A good example, good comparison that we'll both track with is when you're watching a football or a basketball game and there's pass interference and they don't call it. Was that a bad call? No, it just wasn't a call at all.
Correct.
Right?
I missed
no
the call.
or bad call. And when you're talking about career, we're going income or offsetting the cost. It's like, it's still the same thing. A no call and a call.
So it's provisional.
Are the same thing.
Yeah, what is it providing?
In providing income and providing
Care.
providing an amount against the cost. Like what do you call that? There's a word for it. Deficit.
There's definitely a worth to it,
Exactly.
a value to it.
Well, there's because if something would cost you $60,000 a year, and by not doing it and doing this, you don't have to pay $60,000 a year.
Correct.
You just made $60,000.
Exactly.
It's taken. You've ever seen those girl math where they say if you return an item for $100 and you get the money back, it's like you just made $100.
Yeah.
That's taking girl math to the absolute extreme and going, now that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I didn't make the money, but now I don't have to pay this, so that's an income. I basically made $60,000 this year, even though you don't see it on my income. You
Correct.
don't see negative 60 on my income.
Correct. It's a
Right?
wash. Yeah.
So, well, it's more than a wash. It's making it.
Well, you got the money from somewhere, didn't you?
Good point.
Originally, I mean. So,
Yeah.
but no, that's how people think. I agree with that. So, the second thing I look at for what is a career is we have to define the difference between a job
Okay.
or a gig and a career.
I think there's 3 different things actually.
Go.
So there's the gig economy, like where people are just getting on an app and hey, I just got some IKEA furniture. Oh, I'm on this app. I come by your house, put your IKEA furniture together. You give me $40, and I go do something. Oh, I got $40 today to go buy whatever people do with it, and now I go do something else the next day, and I rent, and I live in town, and I ride. People live in the gig economy these days.
for sure.
Young people, like they're not thinking how we think long term at all. They're just thinking, I can get a job, I can take care of each day. That's kind of the gig economy. I think the job economy is more just people are pigeonholed into more.
Okay.
I think people choose the gig economy. That's a choice. Hey, I'm gonna get gigs. I'm gonna figure it out. It's gonna be just side hustling. Maybe I'm doing some stuff online. Whatever it is. But if you're in the job section, you probably want to be going towards the career section.
Okay.
Whereas if you're in the job section, the job is working at McDonald's. The job is, is being a bank teller a job? That's a good question. Or do you have a career in a bank now? Like, where's the line for career and job?
Well, I would argue that a bank teller can be a career for one person and not a career for another person, depending on your skill set, your aptitude, your ceiling, what have you. So I might not be able to, even if I would like to go above being a bank teller in the banking industry, that might be the ceiling for me. But if that's a long-term commitment, I'm serving people every day, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I think very quickly that becomes my career. And I could be a bank teller for the next 30 years, and because that's where my aptitude level is, I've arrived. Like, I'm there. This is great. I'm helping people. I love my job, but it's not a job anymore. It's a career. Is there a longevity that has to be attached to it to qualify it?
I think retirement. I may have brought that up, but I think the word retirement has to be connected with career. I think
Help me understand what you mean by that.
So I have a job, and I need to know, like, this job's a career for me. Not because of the money I make now or what I do now. It's because I know I can do the math with inflation and with what I make and what I do, that this can take care. I can take a number times 12 times 30 times 40. I can multiply my income and then imagine how much more I'll make and do pretty simple math, and then imagine how much money I'm going to need to put in retirement. I'm going to need to, if I want to send my kids to college, if I want to take care of my life X, Y, and Z, I need to know that my job will bear the fruits of that, right?
Yeah.
And that's a career. If I know that my job will bear the fruits of taking care of those things, whereas if for example, if I'm working at Bionic Burger, I know that my job will not bear the fruits of that throughout my life. What am I go work at corporate at Bionic Burger? That's not you know what I mean? So you have to, if you're working at Bionic Burger and you say I'm going to work for 5 years here and then I'm going to start my own burger joint, a lot of different ways to think about it, but you got to know that the line you're getting in, what you're doing, is going to take care of the rest of your life even after you stop working.
Okay.
And that makes it a career. I think it's a good definition, don't you think?
Yeah, I think longevity definitely plays a role into it. Setting the table for your future would definitely be a role. But let's get a little bit spicier here.
Okay.
If time is tied to it, tell me, DL, how many years do I have to work in a job before it qualifies as a career?
10.
10 years.
10 years.
Until then, I'm
10 years.
renting, not owning.
Yeah, I'm going to say 10 years.
At the 10-year mark, now it's officially my career.
Yeah, I'd say, because think about it. You're at 5 years. I changed that. I was a machinist at a shop 4.5 years. Then I went to another machinist shop. You haven't changed, or I went to work in aircraft now. But once you're doing it for 10 years, like my brother works at Paragon and paints airplane parts. He's been there 10 years, I think. I'd say at this point it's career. I can think about my brother. If he had came to me when he'd been working there for 4 or 5 years, it wouldn't have seemed as much of you've put this huge percentage of your life into this. It wouldn't make mathematical sense for you to switch at this point. But once you're at 10 years, it's like somebody's been working in aircraft, let's say, for 12 years, and they come and say, hey, I want to start I want to become a plumber now. You go, man, you already put 12 years into aircraft. The math is starting to not work for you. You only live this long. Is
So
what I mean.
do you believe what you just said?
Do I believe it?
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. So
10 years.
I knew you would believe it until you don't believe it, right?
Sure.
All right. So now that we know the number is 10 years, let's do a little bit of a little litmus test for the two of us.
Okay.
How old are you? You're 30? 30 years old. How many careers have you had in your life?
None. I've never kept
No
anything
career?
for 10 years.
What are you waiting for? You're a failure. 30 years old and no career. That's messed up.
I say it becomes your career. I'm not saying it's not a career. I'm saying it doesn't become
Your career.
And so you've been doing it for 10 years.
I like it.
That's
That's
what I'm
good.
saying.
That's good. But I want to make sure you know you've never had one.
Well, I've had careers. I just haven't.
No, you've never had one.
I think this will be my career.
I do too, but
it
you've
becomes-
never had one.
I get ownership over the career. Okay, here's the comparison.
for it.
You know how I'll say like, the Chiefs played this weekend, we lost. And you'll be like, we lost.
Yeah, you don't play for the Chiefs.
Right, I don't play for the Chiefs. It's the same idea, right? So I'm working, okay? And I work for 10 years. Now I have ownership over it. Now that I've been there for 10 years, I can have ownership over the career. I can say, yeah, I'm part of that club with the electricians. This is my career. Before, if you're talking about electricians, you're saying the electricians did it, right? Once you get to 10 years, you're saying we did. It's like you get to have ownership. Once I've been a Chiefs fan for 10 years, I get to say we.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But
By that same definition, I've had one career.
okay.
I was a teacher for 12 years, full-time teacher for 12 years. So I got that career. I took some ownership over that career.
Oh, I'm understanding now where you're.
And
that's exactly
that's
what
it
I
for me.
said.
Yeah, I'm 41. That's it for me. So I would argue that I'm a bigger failure than you are.
I didn't even think
in
about
that way.
this. Because you, for example, you taught for 12 years, and then you did exactly what I just said, where the math doesn't work as much, and you did it where you put that much time in. So let's talk about it.
You want to talk about
Disagree with me if you think that you put 12 years of time in teaching, and it was, regardless of other circumstances in your life, it was logically, mathematically okay for you to pivot careers and now apply time into this other thing? Is it because the two things you do are similar in operation? Is it?
Yeah, I would say like to me what would define
What
it.
if you told me you're going to go be in the Marines, right?
You wouldn't believe me.
Once you've done 12 years of teaching,
Yeah.
be a little different. So, well, you've put 12 years into teaching. Why didn't you put these 12 years of your career into doing something that would help you be a Marine? Right?
Yeah. I got you.
Is what I'm saying. So you go to switch to insurance. What makes that okay in your head?
For me, it was the opportunity. It was why I was willing to switch. I was kind of set where I was at growth-wise. So I either needed to change to a different district to teach in, or I either needed to switch to a different career to be able to grow and have some fulfillment both in what I did on a daily basis and also even more so financially what that would mean for my family. So with the dynamics of my family at the time, it was like, this isn't meeting the need anymore the way it needs to financially. What's something else I could do that, to your point, would be a similar career path that would allow me to have a untapped potential financially. That if I do well, then my if I'm good at what I do, then my paycheck reflects it.
Got a comparison.
Yeah.
Would you compare teaching for 12 years and then going into insurance as playing in the NFL for 10 years and then going on a sports show? It's like the thing you did for a long time, would you say that it lended itself towards your ability to do what you do now? Whereas if you start, so for example, the comparison is if Peyton Manning becomes a ESPN analyst football guy at 18 years old and never goes to play in the NFL, he's not as good as an ESPN analyst on that career change than if he plays in the NFL for 17 years and then becomes an ESPN analyst. You teach for 12 years, right? It's like, and then you become an insurance agent. If you'd have just became an insurance agent before you taught, would you be just as good of an insurance agent? Or did the fact that you taught for 12 years now lend itself? Okay, not life experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. There's definitely
the
some.
job.
There's definitely some parallel aspects of both careers. We're doing the first one as a teacher gave me a head start in this business, but I can't answer the question for real because I don't know how much of that was just maturity versus experience. And I know those kind of go hand in hand, wisdom, what have you. But if I would have been
networking,
if I would have been an insurance
you
agent,
became a networker when you taught.
maybe. But if I would have been an insurance agent for 12 years, there's other things that I would have learned in that experience at the same time
Hard
that
to
are
weigh
similar
out.
to what I'm doing now. But what I'm saying is one lends itself to another because it's a relationship business either way, right? It's a planning business either
Yes.
way. So either way, I've got my own classroom. I've got a plan, my teaching plans, my lesson plans. Then I've got to go execute those within the classroom, and then I've got to adjust on the fly and be flexible to the dynamics of the classroom and every personality that's in there. That's very similar to running a small business. The biggest difference for me was the financial piece. As a teacher, you're making it up as you go because you have no finances to support what you're doing within the classroom other than what you provide yourself, but there's no extra income coming to do that, no matter how good or bad of a teacher you are.
You can take a cruise every summer if you don't have a family.
Yes,
You know, that's
yeah,
the cool
but
part.
you can wing it as a teacher. As a small business owner, you're trying to grow this, but the only way you can grow it is to put financial know-how into that scenario to get something out. So one's more sweat equity.
Ooh,
This one,
write that down.
yeah,
Sweat.
insurance is sweat equity and literal equity in your business. So how can I take the value of what I've made, put it back into the business to grow the business?
Well, the greatest investment you can make is in yourself. That's what I hear people say. Like, if you had $2,000 and you could invest it in mutual SFP, life insurance, this, that, you had nothing. Anybody would tell everyone who I say tell you just go spend it on classes for yourself to better yourself. That's the greatest investment you can do if you just had. Like what like if you didn't have anything else. So the idea of sweat equity, it's kind of investing in yourself. It lends me towards a question in the career idea of what you said. Is there any career where you would argue when you're talking to a 16-year-old about hey, if you want to do this career, it's best if you do this other career for the first 5, 10, 15 years. That will give you experience you need to pivot into this career. Is there any career where you go, don't start doing it at 18. Do this other thing for 15 years, and then in your 40s, what you did for 15 years will now lend that you're ready to start this other career? Or is everything you go, you want to be this, you want to be that, you want to be this, get started. You're 18, let's get started. That's what you're going to do the rest of your life. You want to be an astronaut, right?
Yeah.
Let's start being an astronaut. Or no, that would be, or if you want to be an astronaut at 18, you go to the military. You do that would someone tell you for 10 years, and then you go to school, and then you become a scientist and understand physics.
Right. I think it
at
goes
40
back.
you go?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the first thought of what are you capable of doing as a human being. So where's your ceiling? So most of us, no matter what I'm saying is most of us, no matter what we do, couldn't be astronauts. One thing or another is going to get in our way because there's just no realm of possibility that I can be an astronaut, for instance. But if I have the right capability, naturally, the capacity, you might argue, I could go do this, or this, and still be an astronaut. But if I just went from high school and said I'm going to become an astronaut, that doesn't happen because you got to be able to do all these other things to be qualified. So what I'm saying is there's a small percentage of the population. You gave the example earlier of a pro football player becoming an announcer. Peyton Manning, even though he's the son of a legendary quarterback and knew tons about football before he went to the NFL, he's still better off going out and doing all the things as an NFL quarterback before he becomes an announcer. Which job is harder? Obviously being a quarterback in the NFL. So he did it in reverse. But
Which job's harder?
yeah, less people can be an NFL quarterback than can be an announcer.
Which job's harder to keep?
Being an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, good point. Well, Peyton Manning's getting paid a lot.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's the elite of the elite as a quarterback. He would have been a good announcer either way.
Yeah.
But he's going to be better at being a quarterback than he could ever be at being an announcer. So it works in reverse for that type of situation. But I'm saying, like, if you're looking at what your question was, do you need to do this to do that, or can you just go do that? Well, it depends on the person, right?
Depends on
And the career track.
and the career track.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
So let me ask you this, because we're wrapping this up. We've got value as the first.
Okay.
So you provide a value,
Credit value.
and it's compensated or it's saving you money.
Career
The second thing was that there's longevity. You put 10 years on it, which was nice and fun. Thank you for making that argument, even if you don't necessarily have any research to back that up.
My mind, I can research my own mind palace.
Right.
I,
Your mind palace.
it's right here.
And
Logic, man.
is there a third indicator, or is that, because the question once again was, Definition
Of career.
of a career. Definition of a career.
Career is.
And there doesn't have to be a third one.
I mean, longevity, value. Value is you're getting paid.
Or maybe we've kind of circled around it and not said this was a proposition. Capacity. Like you've got to be able to do said career for it to be your career.
That seems like a no-brainer. We wouldn't be talking about it if you weren't doing it.
Some people, I've known some people that have been in a career that they should never have done that because either they couldn't or wouldn't do what was required of that, but they're still hiding in plain sight. So some of the people that I may have taught with should have never been teachers because either they couldn't teach or they shouldn't teach. Some people could argue I should have never been a coach because I didn't get any victories as a coach, so therefore you probably can't coach.
You had a bunch of players that looked like me, you know?
No, it didn't help. It didn't help. So does that indicate does capacity matter for it to actually be your career? Because you talked about ownership over that.
I don't think it does. I'm going to make an argument that, here's my argument on that, is that if you can make it through 30 years of a job and you sucked at it and weren't good at it, but you were, it's like the argument that if you're able to get through college and cheat the whole time and get straight A's, you were probably smarter than the person who got B's and C's.
Maybe more resourceful.
You figured it out, right? So it's the same thing. Like if you can figure it out, then you ended it. You got over on everybody, and as long as you weren't too bad morally, you just weren't good at it, but you kept up with it.
Yep.
Like fine, you know, I give you your flowers at the end of your career.
All right.
For a different reason, but for all the same.
We've got this wrapped up. We've got two indicators, value and longevity. Now everyone that's listening knows exactly what a career is, thanks to us.
I mean,
so you can put a period at the end of that sentence.
We're in our career. Do we meet, let's end it with this. Do we meet this in our career?
No, neither of us do.
Do we get value? Do we have longevity here?
We get the first one. We don't get the second one.
We don't have longevity.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm 3 years. I'm 3 years away.
Is it sustainable to get to 10
We can get there.
Okay.
Our powers combined. We are, Russ Herman State Farm. I get it.
Russ Herman State Farm, baby.
So I'm 3 years away from a career in insurance. How far away are you?
8.
8 years away, if you round up.
I'm coming up on 2.
I like it. Hey, so loose ends, real quick. I mean, it's got to be real quick. You got anything else that we need to make sure that is mentioned on the way out the door?
Loose ends. So I want to bring back the male sleepover.
Okay.
Oh, I just want to bring it back like once every 2 months. Have all your buddies over, get a PlayStation 2, some Tony Hawk, some NBA 2K, and order some pizzas. And we all you can stay till 1 a.m. and drive home, but
that's not a sleepover.
Bring back the male sleepover.
You can only bring it back. Only bring it back if you're actually bringing it all the way back.
You have to do it like it's 05, like bunch of pizzas, Halo, Call of Duty, maybe my mom can come over and make us snacks,
I love it.
That kind of thing.
I think this could be trending very soon, and people are going to be posting about that. It's a male sleepover. Here it comes.
I think women still do it. That's why I say the male sleepover. I think women in their 30s, they have best. They'll have.
I don't think they stay the night though, unless it's like an Airbnb.
They have a night out. It's more common, even when you're an adult and a mom and anything, than
for guys, it would be like poker night.
But we loved it when we were kids.
Correct. It was
the male sleepover was a bigger deal to us.
Yeah, it was a
than
big
it was
deal.
The girls.
I think it was more commonplace, but I also was a guy, so I might not have known what the girls were doing.
Yeah. I'm just.
The male sleepover. Adult male sleepover.
The adult male sleepover, man.
Yeah, I think it's coming.